Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan. Welcome to Inside the Burrow, hosted by FAUOwlsNest.com. You can find me there at FAU for show. I'm here with some other Owl fans, Scott Owl Family, and Jack Wooden, who's known as Jack Wooden the Third on the forum. We're here tonight to talk about, for better or for worse, FAU football after a tough weekend. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the past game. We got a bye week this week, so we're going to talk a little bit about state of the program, how we're doing right now, what we think we can do better, go over some Conference USA information, mention the Boca Bowl, and kind of do a really short intro on basketball, since that's starting up this week. But guys, I think I'll kind of get it started on where we're going, maybe some observations from North Texas game. One, the biggest thing, and I really put this, our success this year has really hinged on the offense. It seemed the play calling was, again, not that great, and Quez has just been, unfortunately, terribly inconsistent, like the most inconsistent we've ever seen him, and I think that's really been disappointing. And kind of what I took away from the game is that game was kind of all frustrations throughout the year of offense. We couldn't get anything going, and a very boring playbook to go on. What are you guys thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the play calling was a bit boring, just like you said. It does stink to see Quez, be a little bit inconsistent. I don't know if it was the weather up there or what. I know it was pretty cold, and the wind was really going as well. But it was strange to see how inconsistent the offense was. Just couldn't really get the ball moving. And it's strange, you get the ball moving so well against Marshall, and then, against North Texas, it's a complete 180.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit my party foul right up front, gentlemen, and I did not even watch the game. I was on date night with my wife, and I don't get that particular channel. So I opted out, and it doesn't sound like I missed a whole hell of a lot. I did follow it on Game Tracker, things like that, and I could just tell it was even not being able to watch the game, just the same slow start, just not being able to, the stats weren't exciting. I don't know. I am kind of agreeing with what Dan said. The North Texas loss basically killed the season as far as postseason is concerned. It is what it is, guys. We're playing for pride at this point, so let's take a look at where we're going to go going forward. I like that plan. This season's done. Let's move forward. Let's figure it out. NoFirePartridge.com, OC40, you.
Well,
but let's talk about the future.
Well, I think right now, and this is what's frustrating, is we won 6 games last year with basically the same players. And there's no excuse why we shouldn't have won every single game, with the exception of the bigger teams that we played, Alabama, Nebraska, obviously, and Marshall. Every other game we were either in, or we should have won. And to me, that falls back on the offense. I mean, not being able to score a touchdown against Wyoming. Should have been able – you put it in the end zone once, we win that game easily. FIU as well. FIU, offensive line really let us down that game, and so did obviously the fumbles. So the offense put the defense in a bad situation. And not to say our defense has been stellar this year. That's not really has been the case, but they've done enough in those close games. And then what was the other? UAB last week. There's a muffed punt and a blocked field goal that do that, and then UNT, those games there, the UNT game, which the offense again just didn't do enough. I just don't understand how we could go from a dynamic offense to something that was we didn't throw a bubble screen. We didn't. I mean, what happened to trick?
So predictable.
What happened to that stuff?
Yeah, the trick play, especially, I remember when Brian Wright was in charge. At the final part of last year were so much fun, so much fun to watch, and you can tell the players are having a good time. Even if the plays didn't work, they're having a good time. They're having fun. They're keeping these defenses on their toes. And the past few games, we haven't seen that. It's been pretty conservative play calling, especially this North Texas game, where the play calling was pretty predictable. Same thing in the first half of UAB and the second half of Marshall. Play calling being very predictable. I don't know, for myself where to put the blame. I think part of the blame goes on the coaching. Part of the blame goes on the inconsistency of the play. But I mean, these are amateur athletes. That happens. Mm-hmm. Some of the blame I think should go on us for having such insane expectations.
I don't know. Who really had insane expectations? I was saying earlier, I'm
raising my hand.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, you see, I was being more realistic. I kind of said I can see 6-6 again. Mm-hmm. I can see 8-4. I can also see where we're right about at now, which is 4 or 5 wins. And it's just because when you have a coaching change, you just don't know. The dynamic of that team changes irrevocably. It's it. It's done. That's the way it is. So, I didn't come in with high hopes. I came in with, let's get bowl eligible again. And if we don't, well, let's see how the recruiting class shapes up. And, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I guess that I would classify this, even I didn't have super high expectations, but I saw the potential, and it's disappointing to know that we are a couple play calls away from being over 500 easily. I mean, going for the most wins we've ever had in the season. Like I said, I mean, the Wyoming fumble, and we could go about the what if this happened and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, there's too many, in my opinion, there's too many juniors and seniors, too many leaders on the team for the offense to be this inconsistent, especially with, I know we've had a coaching change, but the offensive coordinator, this is his third year with the same quarterback in the second year. And that's why I put a lot of blame on Quez, like my blame matters, but I put a lot of blame on Quez and the play calling, because I mean the type of plays that we were making against Tulsa and Western Kentucky and UTSA, where's that big play offense? And I think part of it as well is you saw kind of how after Jay Warren and Buddy Howell, after that we've got a big gap in running back, because Gaskins, bless his heart, he is slower than dirt. Do you guys know what happened to Bussey? I mean, he was pretty fast and pretty dynamic early on.
I don't know. Yeah, no clue. What happened to Henry?
Maybe he's injured. He's got to be injured or something like that, because God, we really could have used him last year. But so I think part of, as far as state of the program goes, people, it's what sucks is every single year it's like, all right, we got to give him more time. We're rebuilding. We got to give him more time. Well, we've been doing that for 5 or 6 years, and I think it goes back 5 or 6 years. I think Howard probably stayed one more year than he should have, but there was nobody not going to let him open that stadium. And I'm fine with that. We're kind of suffering for that now, but he kind of lost his edge. I would say it was a year before that he probably should have gone. But again, nobody was not going to let him open that stadium.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? I'm blabbing away here. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think also it kind of goes hand in hand with the high expectations I had this year. I think all students really. I don't know if it's just because we're younger and we think this way. We had such high hopes, high expectations that the program finally turned the corner with the new coaching staff. Mm-hmm. And I think, this is kind of a bringing it back down to reality, basically, saying that it's going to take some time for the program to reach the heights that we think and we know that it can achieve. The beautiful stadium, this awesome recruiting ground, this recruiting area, beautiful campus. We know it's going to turn around eventually. It's just a matter of when.
I mean, I said it earlier, the reset button's been pushed 3 or 4 times in the past 3 years. It is. I agree. Brian Wright was a sense of consistency, and you're right. He needs to be held accountable to a degree because it is his guys that are basically being brought in, and he has had them. And the offense really should be clicking on all cylinders at this point. It hasn't done it. So, it is what it is. But anytime you reset the coaching staff for whatever reason, it's just difficult, in my opinion. All we can do now is move forward. And, I think we all think we're in a better place with Charlie and staff on. I've met them. I've gone to a few of the OSF functions and a few of the recruiting things. And, I mean, the passion is there so much more so than there was with Coach Pelini.
Well, it's funny you say that because, I mean, the one thing I think we would all agree that we're in better hands with Partridge is at least I remember when he came in, he immediately established credibility with FAU, with high school coaches and players because of his past.
Absolutely.
Instantaneous. It was all, okay, FAU is a destination that you can go to and succeed because of this guy. And that's something we didn't have with Pelini. So I think that's something that is definitely beneficial. But again, I mean, and people talk about how Western Michigan was 1-11 last year, and now they're all eligible. I mean, we have the players, and I think we have the coaching in the area that's why this year to me was so disappointing is because we had the players, even though they were coming in lower quality players, we had the players to win 8 games. We really did, and this is kind of just the inconsistency of like Scott said, that the coaches and things like that, and learning his way of doing things. To give you an idea on recruiting, I know you mentioned that, and I looked this up, is our seniors this year, 2014 seniors, the year they came in 2011, we were dead last in recruiting classes in the country. So we're playing with lower quality recruits. This is no slight on the players. I don't want you guys to think that I think all their players suck. Absolutely not. I mean, Dijon Smith came in that class, and he's probably going to be playing on Sundays. Like I said, last week he was invited to the Senior Bowl. And then went up a little bit to 112th in 2012, which was Pelini's first year, and went up to 108 in 2013 and up to 93 last year as far as if you follow recruiting classes and things like that. But my point in that is that the players in that time were not the quality of players, and we're 66th this year. The quality of players was a little bit lower, so now things are going to begin to change, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, Partridge is definitely known across the country for his recruiting, especially down here south of I-4. Doing a lot of the high school football coverage I did this fall, talking to some coaches and parents and telling them I'm a student at FAU. They said, oh, my goodness, Partridge is such a great guy. We're so excited that he's in our own backyard. That's becoming a destination. And you can see it with our recruiting class now. We're getting some serious guys, including linebacker out of Wiregrass Ranch High School, Jay Minor, just saying, Wesley Chapel, Florida. He's going to be something special in next 2 years. Guarantee it. Go Bulls. Go Wiregrass.
Yeah, no, I mean, you look at I saw a stat the other day. I can't remember the name of the young man who committed over the last week. I can't remember what his name was, but the tweets were going nuts. And it was like, something about that, like FAU has more Palm Beach County recruits this year than any other Florida school, I think. It's something insane like that.
Huge. Such a great county, absolutely.
Right. We all were bitching and moaning about that. How, Coach Pelini hadn't made any inroads into, you can throw a stick and find a guy here who runs 440. It's just, it's just crazy. So, and I know all fans are tired of hearing this. I'm tired of saying it, but it is true. Things are getting better. They just are. I know we're not seeing the results on the field, but in every tangible effort, everywhere you look at, everything promoting the stadium is getting better. Bringing the Expos were a stroke of genius, in my opinion. I don't know whose idea that was, but that whole half of the stadium was filled for 2 games this year. That was awesome.
And I think, and that's also something I'd kind of like to get across, is that things are getting better. The quality of the coaches, the quality of the recruits coming in is better. Stadium attendance was a little bit better. Kind of, the and this is, I think, so much due to what they're doing in orientation and to what Partridge is doing, is when you come for an orientation, they take you into the stadium and they teach you the fight song and they teach you all these things. So there's some sort of expectation, which we've never had before. That's why you saw in the first game, the student section was packed. And I think if we had a little bit of momentum, if we caught a little bit of ground, as far as winning and stuff like that, it would have been maybe it wouldn't have been that packed, but it would have been continuously packed. So things are getting better. We're getting a little bit better image in the community. It's kind of the groundwork, and again, it's so stupidly annoying to say, "Oh, we're rebuilding again." It's not necessarily we're rebuilding. We're kind of building,
just building. Yeah, putting down the foundation. Right. Definitely. Going off on the student thing real quick, I want to, the student turnout's been pretty solid. Could definitely be better. Rat's Mouth's been a lot of fun this year. I think the FIU game was a killer. We were riding a good amount of momentum. We had thousands of students, and I'm pretty sure alumni and other fans were there, making that trip and staying through the rain, and then, putting up a result like that. I think
a stinker. A
big
stinker definitely hurt student confidence on the year, and it's tough to see.
It is. It's tough. That is tough. So, hold on, Owl fans. The state of the program and where we are, things are getting better. It may not look it, but it is getting better. So, kind of switching gears a little bit. We've got a couple more minutes here. I want to talk a little bit about Conference USA and it's not much. Rankings and things like that really don't matter to us. The biggest thing is following Marshall and seeing how they're doing, really, and seeing how bad FIU falls.
Marshall is a huge deal. I know we played them very well, and then we kind of fell apart in the second half. You want a number one reason why we want Marshall to keep winning and get the Access Bowl is that adds, I think, $2 or $3 million to the pool of money that Conference USA gets. And yes, FAU will get a share of that. It's a step up in perception. Jack and I were talking a little bit earlier, and he said, hey, they could very well be mentioning, Marshall's toughest game this year was Florida Atlantic University, and they were only up by a couple points at halftime, and here was the plan to beat. I mean, you got to pull for Marshall now. We need Marshall to win. We need Marshall to get the Access Bowl so that we get a little more fundage, and that helps us and it helps the program.
We got to root for Marshall. It'll help the conference, like you said, as long as you don't take our recruits. Doc Holliday is a great recruiter in Florida. So you win some, you lose some, but overall it would be good for the program and the conference. Keep going the way they are.
And then I guess we'll kind of finish up with this is the tickets for the Boca Bowl have come available. I think that bowl is December 23rd. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
December 23rd.
Off the top of my head.
And that's held. It's kind of big for FAU just because hopefully it'll get more local people. Again, the more people, in my opinion, the more people we get into the stadium, no matter how we get them into the stadium, the better, because those local people will be like, this is a great place to watch a game. So those tickets became available, and again, the game is December 23rd, which I won't be here. I'll be home up north, but
well, guys, we're South. Most of us are here in South Florida for the most part. I know we got a few gray owls out there in the wilds of Colorado, and we've got some other folks in Seattle, up in North Carolina, things like that. But the rest of the country's in a polar freaking vortex right now.
I know.
Okay, polar vortex. I was out today in my shorts, taking my girls to the park. So you're trying to tell me December 23rd, most people are going to be home. They're going to be sitting in front of the TV. They're going to be having cocktails. There's football on. It's going to be our stadium, and they're going to show the palm trees. They're going to show the beach. They're going to show a bikini. They're going to show all those lovely things, and you're going to see kids that are going to go, wow, so I could be there right now. And he's going to look out the window and see icicles and be like, that's not such a bad deal. So it's a huge deal for the program. It's a huge deal for the university and the city, for that matter. So I hope it's packed. I am probably going to go to the game no matter who's in it, just because I want to support it myself. So I don't think I'll drag the family along, but I will probably sit my butt there.
Well, it's going to be good because it's going to be a Conference USA team against a MAC team, Mid-America Conference. And I'm watching a Northern Illinois Toledo game, and I just saw some snow flurries, and it's November 11th? So guarantee in a month and a half from now, when Western Michigan or Toledo or, Ohio is here, you better believe they're going to love seeing our palm trees and all.
Yeah. So we wanted to do, to kind of finish up, we wanted to do a super quick basketball thing, but I think we're kind of out of time. But we are going to talk basketball sometime. Jack and I will. Scott I think he still thinks they play with a peach basket.
Yes, I know we've got a new coach and they go up and down the field and field. See.
So
Rick's gonna get mad at me because I know he keeps begging me to support it, and I'm just like, it's just not my deal.
Yeah. So we'll talk about basketball here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll probably get a separate show dedicated to that, because that is I am a big basketball and Jack fan. Basketball fan Jack is as well, so we'll talk about that. But to kind of finish up, again, I mean, this is a fan podcast. We're nothing but fans. We're no experts. We're just people that like talking about the program, and we want to hear what you have to say. So again, check us out on Twitterverse at Inside the Burrow. Inside the Burrow. I'll pronounce that more gooder this time. Check out the website, FAUOwlsNest.com. There's been some lively discussion going on about the state of our program and about our recruits and things like that. So there's a lot of great conversation going on there. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. We try to put this out every single week. I'll put a link in the description on YouTube to the forum, to the website, to stuff that's going on. And again, if you have questions, hit us up on Twitter. Or hit us up on FAU Owls Nest. We want to hear what you have to say. This is really about you guys. So for Scott Owl Family and Jack Wooden III.
Owls up, everybody. It's going to get better. Just keep hugging yourself and drinking beer. It's going to get better.
My name is Dan, FAU for show. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great night.